Katie.
Hi, Molly.
Good to see you as always. Come on in, stand on the red lines.
All right, you got it.
So Katie Mulligan is a dietitian nutritionist, and she is the owner of WellFamily Nutrition Coaching. So March is National Nutrition Month, and this year's theme is Go Further with Food. I think this is super cool. We can interpret it many different ways, and you're going to kind of help break it down, really what that means first, and kind of help us all interpret that.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Right, there are several ways that you can break it down, like you said, different angles you can take. The Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics is encouraging members to use the sustainability and reducing food waste angle. But when I first heard it, I immediately thought of sports nutrition, so physically going further with food. And then the more I thought about it, I thought, well, this is really pertinent to my own life because I get through my day by eating healthy and exercising. So there are several different angles that it can go.
I think that's so cool too, because when you told me about this, I was like, oh, that's so awesome. One, it's Nutrition Month, so kind of just taking a look at how we approach nutrition, and then having a theme, I was like, oh, that's awesome. So being able, whether it's being sustainable or sustainable to the environment and ourselves, I just think that's super awesome.
Right.
So let's dive into the sustainability and reducing food waste aspect. We'll talk about that first.
Yeah, sure.
Why is this an issue that we should all actually think about?
Well, it's a really big issue. We waste billions of tons of food every single year here in America, and probably not surprising that America is the worst offender for food waste. We waste about 30 to 40% of our food supply every year. And a lot of people think, well, restaurants, grocery stores, that's where it's getting wasted, but it's actually in the home. Consumers waste more than restaurants and grocery stores.
Wow.
So that means that there's something we can do about it. That this is something that everybody can do in their homes.
Okay, so what are some strategies that we can all help reduce that food waste? I mean, I think in my home, I really try to make a big difference. One, because it helps save money, because when you don't eat something, you're literally just throwing money down the drain.
Just think of it as every time you throw food in the garbage, picture that food is cash.
It's just literally just cash. And it's so frustrating. So it's something, I think that we all probably want to get better on. Whether you care about Earth and the environment or not, I think we all probably care about our pocketbooks.
Yeah, very motivating. Well, so whatever is motivating to you, that's what you want to latch onto. Whether it's the cash or the environment, keep that in your mind. But there are lots of things you can do. So I talk about meal planning a lot, but that's definitely something that you can do, because if you're planning your meals and you're writing your grocery lists, then you're only going to buy what you need and what you can use. And then when you're planning your meals, hopefully you're looking in your refrigerator, your freezer, and your cabinets. You want to use those foods first so that you're not buying extra food that you already have at home. So by buying less food, you're going to waste less food automatically. So meal planning is big for me, but that's also my number one tip. And then using up your leftovers. So planning, looking in your fridge, figuring out what you have and what you can use again. And when I was doing the research for this, I ran across a cool website called bigoven.com.
Okay.
And then in bigoven.com, you can put in 3 ingredients. So your 3 leftovers in your fridge that you've had all week, and now it's Friday or Thursday night, and you need to cook something. And they'll come up with recipes for you to use with those 3 ingredients.
That's so fun.
It was.
Because
you're
probably, because this is my problem when I have the chicken, and I've had chicken every night of the week, or I have, and I'm so sick of it, or whatever your meal is, you're sick of it. And you're like, what do I do now? I'm so tired of eating the same thing.
Exactly.
But you've made so much of it.
Right, exactly.
Like, what can I do that makes it not boring and makes me want to go spend more money on something else?
Right, exactly. So that was a good one. I put in salmon, black beans, and brown rice, and they came up with a bunch of interesting options that I never would have thought of on my own. So that was a really good one. But then speaking of things like chicken, you can always freeze your leftovers.
Okay.
And also freezing ingredients that you only use every once in a while. I used to throw away so much tomato paste just randomly because my recipes called for 1 tablespoon of tomato paste.
Yeah,
and I had
even
a whole
if you
can.
get the little cans, it's still too much.
You're right, exactly. Yeah. You're still wasting like 3/4 of a cup of tomato paste. So anyway, now I freeze them in these little 1 tablespoon portions. So I just pop them on my cookie sheet, throw my cookie sheet in the freezer for a couple hours, pop them off, and then put them in a Ziploc bag for the freezer.
I love that idea.
Yeah, so that's an easy one.
I saw something like that where you can freeze your herbs, and I don't remember if it was something like freezing them in ice cubes or if it was a special thing. I don't know. It was probably on one of those like Snapchat things.
So you could do that. Yeah, you can put your herbs in like a food processor with some oil and then freeze them in the little ice cube trays. And then you'll use them for soups and stews and like mixed casserole dishes. So just know, like your herbs are not going to be the same texture. So you're not going to be using fresh herbs if you freeze them, which is fine. I mean, you can still cook with them.
Okay, because that's where my thing, like if you use parsley or cilantro, I like a lot of cilantro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it always goes bad and wilty and you throw it away.
Yeah, and then you feel like you're wasting, even, and then you're kind of like picking out the gooey portions, or like the gooey spinach, or whatever it is.
Yeah, so you can definitely freeze it, and then if you're going to be making, say, like a chicken tortilla soup, say, and you want to use some in it just as a base part of the broth, but not as a garnish on top. Take out a few of those leaves and throw them in. Okay. Because they're going to get wilty after they thaw.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Which reminds me, I need to go freeze some of that kale tonight. I feel like that's good. All right. So freezing is always a great idea. Do you often, when you're meal planning, do you make meals and then freeze the whole meal? I'm always curious about that. I feel like a lot of people do, but once I put something in the freezer, if it's a whole meal, like soup and stuff, I feel like then it just stays in there for months, and then I never go back to it. I don't know if it's just me or other people or what.
Yeah, so a few tricks. So I think what you're describing is like meal prep. So people prep the entire meal and then freeze it in portions. Yeah. Yeah, so that does take a lot of organization. Yeah. I mean, those people might be planning out, a whole month's worth of meals.
Yeah, I'm not good at that.
But the second thing is, so when you're meal planning and you're writing your weekly menu list, remember you're going back to your freezer and checking out what you already have. Okay. So when you go in there and you see, I have a whole container of soup. Well, that's Monday night's dinner. I don't have to plan that night. So remember to check to see what you have first.
All right. Always check, people.
Yes.
It's going to help make your food go farther. Go somewhere.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about today.
Hopefully not in the landfill. That's just what
we don't want it to keep continuing on. We want it to go further with yourself. All right. So gave you that cool website that Katie found was bigoven.com, where you can plug in the 3 ingredients, which I'm totally bookmarking that. All right. So we talked a little bit about the sustainability angle. Talk to us a little bit about, because you said when you first saw this, all about like the nutrition part of the nutrition side of things and the performance side of things, like being an athlete. Right. And you deal with families, so I'm sure you see a lot of that with your clients. Talk to us about that.
Right. So exactly. When I first heard of it, I thought, this is performance-based. This is athletics. So anybody who's an athlete in any seriousness, whether you're a gym goer, but you really push it, or you're an athlete where you're training at an elite level, you want to make sure that you can literally push your body as far as it can. And you can only do that with proper nutrition. And any athlete knows that they need to be focusing on nutrition. But even the weekend athletes and the home athletes, your regular everyday exercisers, we still need to be worried about what we're putting into our bodies. So your food, remember, is your fuel. So you literally cannot go as far as you want to if you're not feeding your body properly. So you want to make sure you're planning for your pre-workout meals and your post-workout meals so that your body can do its best and perform at its best.
I think that's excellent advice. I feel like sometimes we forget that food isn't just this luxury. It's what we really need to consume to fuel our bodies.
Exactly. Yeah, and it does make a big difference. So in terms of performance, let's think about a pre-workout meal. So in some cases, depending on what you're doing and what time of day you're exercising, you might not need a pre-workout meal. If you get up in the morning and go to the gym, chances are you're going to have enough energy stores that you're not going to need a meal. But if you're going out and you're running your 22-mile run before your marathon training, or you're doing your triathlon training, then you're going to want to make sure you've planned your day so that you have something to eat. So our body fuels first on carbohydrates, so you can't be afraid of carbs. You should be eating carbs to fuel your workouts. And then after your workouts, that's when your body needs the protein and a carbohydrate mix to rebuild your energy stores and rebuild the protein loss to rebuild your muscles that you kind of tore down while you were exercising.
Okay, and making your food go farther. Make your food work for you, which I think is so valuable when you, whether you are an elite athlete or whether you are just hitting the gym, whether you are working to make yourself feel healthy or training. I had some friends that were in bodybuilding competition and thinking of what they would go through and how they really had to work so hard on what they ate. The nutrition aspect side of things, I think, was way more complicated and way more complex than the actual physicality. Yeah,
and that's a very sport-specific diet. So that's not going to be the general diet recommendations. Yeah, very sport-specific and very, very in tune to that individual.
Oh my goodness, no kidding. I just thought of that when you were talking about that. Okay, so let's talk about everybody else. So that's if you're, I think we all should participate in athletics or exercise and help our food can fuel our body for that. But if we're just talking about general overall wellness and incorporating nutrition and consuming things that make us just feel better overall, let's talk a little bit about that.
Right. So just for your everyday person, I mean, most of us, we all work every day. A lot of people out there have kids. It takes a lot of energy and stamina just to live our daily lives. And without proper nutrition, that makes it really difficult. So if you're filling your body with foods that really weigh you down, high-fat foods, high salt, high-sugar foods, foods that aren't really lasting, that are giving you kind of these peaks and valleys of energy during the day and nothing lasting and sustaining, then you're going to feel it in your body. You're going to feel low energy, and sometimes people feel depression when they eat like this. So you're just not going to be able to go further than somebody who's paying attention and who's filling their body with vitamins and minerals and lean proteins and fiber and foods that are really going to help them get through their day. So it's really, really important to focus on that kind of thing. And not only to mention just getting through our day on a day-to-day basis, but living longer and not having chronic disease and thinking how many missed school days and missed work days are there because of illness. We don't have to live like that. And nutrition really can be the answer to help you go further.
I think that's so critical. Talk a little bit about some examples of whether it's diets that are appropriate or examples of helping us reach that long-lasting nutrition, making our food work for us and making those good choices when we're consuming.
Yeah, right. So you really want to focus. I mean, there's some words out there that are trendy, diets that are trendy, but honestly, it's not all that sexy to eat healthy. It's really just a whole foods diet, a plant-based diet, I'd say first. So mostly plant-based meals, so meat less frequently. So whole foods, which means minimally processed foods, whole grains, lots of fruits and vegetables, lean meats, beans, nuts, fish, lean sources of animal protein if you have animal protein. There are diets that are better than others. That lots of studies have been done. There's one diet, the DASH diet, which has very high amounts of fruits and vegetables, 9 cups a day, has been proven to lower blood pressure, but it does much more than that. The Mediterranean diet is a very popular diet. There's a lot of fish, a lot of olive oils, a lot of whole grains and fruits and veggies. And I'm not sure if you've ever heard of something called blue zones.
Only because you emailed it to me.
Oh, okay.
So no, I guess that's cheating.
Oh, well, good. I'm glad I can teach you something.
Okay, good.
So blue zones are these areas of the world that have been found to have the largest amount of people who live to be 100 years old.
Oh, that's so cool.
And so they've been studying these blue zones to figure out why are these people living to such an old age and in excellent health with no chronic disease. So there's a lot of different factors, how they're living, their relationships, but diet and exercise are really big factors. So plant-based diets always, very moderate amounts of alcohol. So there's like daily wine, but like 1 glass of wine a day, whole grains, and very low intake of meats, of animal proteins. Plant-based proteins are what they're taking in. So really, really interesting. Look up the blue zones.
Fascinating.
It is fascinating. It is for me. I'm a bit of a geek for that kind of stuff.
Well, I am too now. I think that's so cool. And really, they make their food go farther.
Yeah, and you're right, exactly.
Literally,
they're growing their own
hundreds.
food, and I know, to 100 and beyond. And, you know, some people are like, well, I don't want to live to 100. Well, you don't want to live to 100 if you're riddled with chronic disease.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can't, but these people are not only living to 100, they are living to 100 with, like, joie de vivre. I mean, they are really living to 100.
Yeah, they feel great. It's because it's one thing to live to 100 if you are sick all the time and uncomfortable, and it's not. You know?
Right.
But if you're one of those, if you're the 95-year-old out running that 22-mile run.
Right. Or working your garden every day and cooking dinner for your family every day. I mean, it's amazing what some of these folks are doing.
That's so cool. I love that. Katie, this has been so fun chatting with you. It's always fun chatting nutrition. I feel like I had one more question before we're done, but I can't remember.
And I'll come to you as soon as I walk off.
Probably. All right. So, okay. Before you go, I do want to do this because you said the DASH diet. And we always use diet just as a kind of a phrase, not like restricting yourself.
Exactly.
9 cups of fruits and vegetables?
9 cups.
It seems like a lot, but as you were saying that, I was trying to rack up to see how we could do this. Okay, so like a cup of blueberries. See if we can do this throughout the day to plan our meal.
Let's do that.
Okay, so I'm going to say a cup of blueberries, like half of a grapefruit. Would that count as?
That would probably be another cup.
Okay.
Because they're so large.
Half
so
of a grapefruit, and this will be very acidic breakfast, and a cup of orange juice for my breakfast.
Okay.
Does that work?
I'm going to go lower on the orange juice.
Okay.
We're going to go for the whole food, fruits and vegetables.
Okay.
All right, so 2 cups of fruits. Let's go into lunch now.
Okay, so there's my 2. So how about, you go now.
All right, so we're going to have a big salad with kale and spinach. We're going to have 4 cups of leafy greens, but that gives us 2 cups of vegetables. Okay. So now we're at 4. All right, but on top of that, I'm going to put at least a cup and a half of other veggies. Peppers and tomatoes and artichokes and beets and broccoli and carrots and things like that. Okay. Yep, so another cup and a half. So I think we're at 5 and a half now. Okay. And we're at lunch. So we did an afternoon snack maybe?
So afternoon snack, I want cherry tomatoes.
All right.
And more carrots.
Okay, so another cup, so we're at 6 and a half.
Okay.
All right, and then at dinner?
Dinner I would have cooked broccoli or maybe like some turnips, like a medley.
All right, and maybe some zoodles or some spaghetti squash instead of pasta.
Spaghetti squash. Okay.
All right, so 2 cups of spaghetti squash, an extra cup of veggies, 8 and a half. We're at 9.
That's a lot.
And then the proteins, of course, you want to add some proteins in there. We just talked fruits and veggies.
Okay, so maybe at lunch for my snack, cherry tomatoes and some strawberries.
Okay, there you go.
We'll get some more
add
fruit.
A little bit of fruit in there, extra sweetness. Yeah.
Or if we took out maybe something at lunch and have some homemade raspberry sorbet that I had for lunch with no added sugar, just like frozen strawberries.
Yeah, something that you made. Right, exactly. Yeah. Sure, see, it can be done.
Okay, so that's not, because I was like, ooh, that's a lot, but you can do it. Okay, so we did it. I wanted to see if we could do it. All right, Katie Mulligan, the owner of Wellness Fitness Coaching. If you are interested, you can find out more about her on her website, and we'll put a link on our Facebook page as well. We're going to get set up here for our next guest on GoLocal Live. Hang tight.